In a stunning turn that has caught many observers off guard, the Philippines has accepted a sweeping economic and diplomatic package from Beijing, marking a significant departure from its recent trajectory. This move is not just a headline, it represents a profound recalibration of Manila's foreign policy priorities, and signals a willingness to explore new partnerships in the face of mounting regional pressures and economic uncertainty. The announcement has sent ripples through diplomatic circles, signaling a dramatic shift in the country's approach to its powerful neighbor and the broader geopolitical landscape of Southeast Asia. After years of tense standoffs and deepening U.S. ties, Manila's pivot toward China is a high-stakes gamble, balancing urgent economic needs with the challenge of defending sovereignty in the South China Sea. The stakes are enormous. The Philippines must weigh the promise of Chinese investment and infrastructure against the risk of emboldening Beijing's maritime ambitions, all while maintaining its long-standing alliance with Washington. This move comes just after the lowest point in Philippines-China relations, following repeated maritime confrontations that nearly sparked open conflict. Public sentiment in the Philippines remains wary, with many citizens remembering recent clashes and ongoing disputes over fishing rights and territorial waters. The new accord is more than a diplomatic gesture, it's a calculated de-escalation, reflecting the tough choices smaller nations face amid US-China rivalry. For Manila, the agreement is a strategic attempt to secure much-needed economic growth, while also buying time to navigate the increasingly complex web of regional alliances and rivalries. President Marcos Jr.'s decision suggests a pragmatic, if risky bet, that economic rewards from China outweigh the strategic risks, even as the U.S. security umbrella remains vital but insufficient for development. The administration is betting that closer ties with Beijing can deliver jobs, infrastructure, and investment, while still keeping the door open to American support in times of crisis. Manila's bold re-engagement with Beijing will be closely watched across the region, as capitals try to discern whether this is a fleeting tactical shift or the start of a deeper realignment. The coming months will reveal whether this gamble pays off, or if the Philippines finds itself caught in the crossfire of great power competition. At the heart of Beijing's offer is a sweeping $15 billion infrastructure investment, targeting the modernization of railways, ports, and bridges across the Philippines. This ambitious plan is designed not only to boost connectivity within the country but also to strengthen trade links throughout Southeast Asia. For the Philippines, these projects could mean faster transport of goods, new jobs, and a much-needed upgrade to aging infrastructure that has long struggled to keep up with economic growth. In addition, China is offering $5 billion in low-interest loans specifically earmarked for renewable energy. This funding aims to accelerate the Philippines' transition to cleaner power sources, supporting the construction of wind farms, solar plants, and other green projects. The hope is to reduce dependence on imported fossil fuels and help the country meet its climate goals. China has also pledged to boost imports of Philippine agricultural products, aiming for a 25% export increase in just 2 years, a potential lifeline for rural communities. For Filipino farmers and exporters, this could mean greater market access, higher incomes, and a more stable livelihood, especially as global demand for tropical fruits and other produce continues to rise. The most sensitive part of the agreement is a gentleman's understanding to de-escalate tensions in the South China Sea. This includes the establishment of a crisis hotline between the two governments, designed to prevent misunderstandings and manage incidents before they spiral out of control. There are also plans for joint Coast Guard exercises, which aim to build trust and improve communication between maritime forces operating in these contested waters. Alongside this, both sides have agreed to renew talks on oil and gas exploration in non-disputed areas, hoping to unlock new energy resources and share the benefits of development. China's promise to allow Filipino fishermen access to traditional fishing grounds, especially around Scarborough Shoal, offers immediate relief to coastal communities. For many families, the ability to fish freely means food on the table and a return to a way of life threatened by years of maritime disputes. Yet the informal nature of these deals, lacking legal guarantees, leaves them vulnerable to shifting political winds and questions about China's long-term intentions. Without binding agreements, there is always the risk that promises could be reversed or reinterpreted as circumstances change. The truce is fragile, and its durability will be tested by both domestic pressures and Beijing's willingness to honor its commitments. As the region watches closely, the future of these agreements and the stability they promise remains uncertain. To understand Manila's pivot, recall the perilous years of 2023-2025, when Chinese gray zone tactics in the West Philippine Sea brought relations to the brink. Philippine supply missions faced dangerous harassment, with Chinese vessels using water cannons and aggressive maneuvers. In response, the Marcos administration embraced assertive transparency, embedding journalists, publicizing incidents, and revitalizing the U.S. alliance with expanded military access. Manila also deepened ties with other powers, negotiating defense agreements and joint drills with Canada, France, Australia, and Japan. This proactive diplomacy transformed the Philippines into a regional leader, but at a steep economic and diplomatic cost. The constant risk of escalation created regional anxiety and strained Manila's resources. Against this backdrop, Beijing's offer of economic incentives and a diplomatic off-ramp became an attractive, if fraught, alternative. The decision to accept China's offer is rooted in domestic politics as much as foreign policy. President Marcos Jr. faced eroding support after disappointing midterm election results, intensifying pressure to deliver economic gains. The promise of Chinese-funded infrastructure and expanded trade offered a quick path to visible progress. Meanwhile, a deepening rift with Vice President Sara Duterte fueled political instability, making a major economic win even more urgent for Marcos. Public opinion remains wary of China, with strong nationalist sentiment and skepticism about any deal perceived as compromising sovereignty. The administration is walking a tightrope, selling the economic benefits while insisting it hasn't abandoned territorial claims or the 2016 arbitral victory. If the economic windfall fails to materialize or China backtracks, the political backlash could be severe. The economic upside is undeniable. $15 billion for infrastructure could transform logistics, create jobs, and accelerate growth. A 25% boost in agricultural exports to China promises stability and higher incomes for farmers and fishers. Yet, the risks are real. Critics warn of debt-trap diplomacy and the danger of growing economic dependence on Beijing. Past Chinese pledges under Duterte mostly went unfulfilled, and weak institutions raise concerns about corruption and project delivery. The government must ensure transparency and effective management to avoid repeating old mistakes. The stakes are high. Success could lift millions, but failure could deepen dependency and erode autonomy. The sovereignty risks are profound. The informal South China Sea Truce could legitimize China's presence and sideline the 2016 arbitral ruling. By engaging in joint activities, Manila risks treating China as an equal stakeholder in its own waters. Beijing's history of tactical concessions for strategic gain raises fears that today's promises may be tomorrow's leverage. If China reneges, Manila could find itself isolated, having accepted aid and signaled flexibility, but with less international support. The deal also complicates security ties with the U.S., raising concerns about intelligence sharing and alliance trust. Ultimately, the Philippines is gambling short-term economic gain against long-term strategic security and the rules-based order. The true cost may only become clear in the years ahead. The U.S. has responded with concern, urging Manila not to compromise sovereignty or the 2016 ruling, and seeking clarity on the gentleman's agreement. Washington sees the move as a setback to its Indo-Pacific strategy, while Japan adopts a cautious, watchful stance emphasizing the rule of law. Within ASEAN, reactions are mixed. Vietnam and Malaysia worry about weakened unity, while Cambodia and Laos see pragmatic de-escalation. The deal could embolden China's divide-and-conquer tactics, undermining ASEAN's collective position in South China Sea negotiations. Some members welcome reduced tensions, but others fear a dangerous precedent. The episode highlights ASEAN's deep fragmentation, an advantage Beijing has long exploited. Regional solidarity is now more fragile than ever. Manila's evolving relationship with Beijing is dramatically reshaping the power dynamics of the Indo-Pacific region, compelling both regional and global players to reconsider their long-standing alliances and strategies. As the Philippines pursues new agreements with China, the ripple effects are being felt far beyond its shores, signaling a significant shift in the balance of influence. The U.S.-Philippines alliance, once seen as a cornerstone of American strategy in Asia, now faces unprecedented complexity. Washington can no longer take Manila's unwavering support for granted, as the Philippines seeks to assert its own interests and navigate between competing powers. In response, the U.S. and its allies are exploring new avenues for partnership, looking to strengthen ties with countries like Vietnam and other regional players. This diversification aims to create a broader coalition to counterbalance China's growing influence, while also acknowledging the shifting loyalties within Southeast Asia. For the Philippines, the challenge is to maximize economic opportunities offered by China, such as trade, investment, and infrastructure, without jeopardizing its crucial security relationship with the United States. This delicate balancing act requires careful diplomacy and strategic foresight. This move tests the limits of what is possible for a middle power, revealing how economic incentives, domestic political pressures, and the desire for autonomy can sometimes outweigh even the most robust multilateral security arrangements. The Philippines is navigating a complex web of interests both at home and abroad. Observing Manila's approach, other Southeast Asian nations may conclude that direct confrontation with China is unsustainable in the long run. Instead, they might choose a path of pragmatic accommodation, seeking to benefit from China's economic rise while avoiding open conflict. As a result, the region is gradually drifting toward a more multipolar order where countries hedge their bets between superpowers. This flexible approach offers new opportunities, but it also introduces significant risks and uncertainties for all involved. In many ways, the Philippines has become the test case for this precarious balancing act. Its choices and outcomes will be closely watched by neighbors and great powers alike, as the region's future hangs in the balance. The Philippines' acceptance of Beijing's package marks a pivotal moment for its foreign policy and the wider region. Driven by domestic pressures and economic needs, Manila has traded assertive deterrence for calculated engagement, hoping for growth and stability. The deal promises vital investment but raises concerns about sovereignty, dependency, and the future of U.S. alliances. Regional reactions reflect deep uncertainty about whether this is a new chapter or a repeat of old patterns. The outcome hinges on China's follow-through, Manila's governance, and the ability to balance economic gains with national interests. The stakes are enormous, the future of regional stability, and the Philippines' autonomy hangs in the balance.